The second thing is headlines. Now, your headlines are the most important part of your post. Why is that? Well, it's the first thing that someone sees before deciding if they want to read your post. And it's also the tagline of which will determine the value to someone who's looking at it. In addition, if you want people to see something, you want to see big, bold text, right? And those texts show up in search engines. So, whatever your tagline is, your headline is, that's what people are going to see first in tweets, in Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, all of the search sites. So, that's why it's really, really important that you get that headline straight. Now, without a great headline, very few people will make the effort to click, and you know that. So, if your headline is boring and it's not what we call simple, direct, or supercharged, then you're not going to get any clicks. It's really going to define whether or not someone comes and reads your post. So, how do we define a great headline, you ask? I know you're asking because it could be anything, right? And it's very difficult to decide how you're going to headline something. And I can't even really do it for you because we're going to be writing things on so many different topics. So I could not possibly, foresee all those things. So let me teach you a little bit about how to write a good headline. Great headlines are descriptive and they spark a sense of urgency or curiosity, correct? Well, let's just think about this. Say we have, let's think, how about, say we have a hamburger and we have a restaurant that we want to market. And say the restaurant says, they put up a picture of their hamburger and it looks really, really good. And it's expensive hamburger because it's a very special restaurant. Well, if they put up the picture, a simple picture of a hamburger with the name on it, then we would call that a simple headline, right? Well, it's not really going to go very far because people are going to see the hamburger. Some people are going to like it. It's pretty good. It looks delicious. Okay, we'll associate with the name of their restaurant. But it doesn't really grab your attention in contrast to everything else that is out there. So now we have to think of if we had a simple and direct headline that grabbed your attention, what would that be? Well, then maybe we would put the world's most expensive hamburger on the headline. And people would be like, wow, the world's most expensive hamburger. That's interesting. Okay, so that gets simple. It gets your point across. It's direct and it kind of grabs your attention, right? But it's not quite the supercharged version of getting viral that you really need. So, what if we turn around and we did the same ad and we said on the name, the world's first $5,000 hamburger? Now, that would be interesting, right? Because people would say, what? $5,000 for a hamburger? Are you kidding? But what you've just done there, if you've just given them a reason, a funny reason to share it, because you've given them a picture of what you consider to be a $5,000 hamburger. Now, if they lead on to the post and it says, this hamburger is not actually $5,000, but it's such a good hamburger that it's worth $5,000, then that's a different story. But you've still gotten them to go through to the post, right? Because you've associated your hamburger with a value of $5,000, which is so outrageous that it's simple, it's direct, and it's viral. It's supercharged because it's something that you would want to tell somebody about. That's what makes a good headline. And I hope that that kind of drives my point home. It's just like the business suit, right? It's something that you would want to tell somebody about. So you have to make your product, your music, your whatever it is that you're posting, something that someone would want to tell somebody about. And how do we do that? With simple, direct, supercharged headlines. So don't be afraid to try something funny or a catchy phrase or maybe grab the attention of your target reader and hook them in with something that's really, really great content, but that has a real snappy title. Um, you've got to think in terms of music. Would the electric slide or the Macarena have been such a hit if the video of the dance hadn't been released? I mean, we know that in every club across the world, everybody was learning these dances, right? But they were all attached to those two songs. one for country and one for pop. It was kind of like a Latin beat pop. It was all over the place. Everybody was doing the Macarena, and they did it for years and years, and people still know it to this day. So, if you were going to release a really cool music video and you weren't doing so well, why wouldn't you do a dance? Make up some kind of really cool dance. I mean, we remember, I'm sure you can think of a ton of artists that have done that over the years, over the last maybe, hint, hint, 25, 30 years. And they have done really, really well at it and they've made a name for themselves. So, those just are just a couple of examples of how you can make headlines, how you can get your content, and how you can increase hits to your blog and make your blogs go a little more viral or your projects go a little more viral. The third thing I want to talk to you about is timing. Timing is everything, and we know timing is everything. Now, I've done a ton of research on the science of timing and found that blog posts published in the mornings generate the greatest number of page views, especially when targeting women. Now, I'm not saying that men don't hit their blogs and do a lot of stuff during the day. They do, but it just tends to be certain groups that do. Now, maybe women would be younger women, and maybe women would be, I would think, would be women with children because they would drop their kids off to school. And then what are they going to do? They're up there so early. They have to have something to do. They've got some time to themselves. What do they do these days? They get on the internet if they're not going to work out. So that's probably why we see target women. Music sharing does the best in the evenings. Men tend to read more content late at night. So you want to check out your stats and really kind of get in your mind who it is that you would like to attract to your blogs and your businesses. Um, Make sure you really know your audience as well, and you want to make sure that you deliver the content in order to get the best results. So, along with everything that I've been saying today, we want to make sure that you kind of think out your posts just a little bit better and target your market. Now, if you survey your audience and you ask when they prefer to read your content, you might get some replies, but you might not. You kind of have to like ask that in conversations, maybe private emails as you build relationships with people, and they'll give you like some honest answers on stuff like that. But for the most part, you can do all these web analytics at different places like Google. You can line up different things that on WordPress blogs and on Blogger blogs, and that way they'll give you all of those insights, especially on Facebook and Twitter. They give you insights as well. So you can kind of see when people are peaking and why people are peaking and what kind of people are peaking on your blogs. And that will also help you kind of put together a little bit of an overview as to when your content's doing better and what content is doing better. So, as far as timing, planning ahead is a key. I want to really enforce that if you work smart by creating and maintaining a blog, maybe like a blog calendar, like I have, an editorial calendar to prepare your content ahead of time is always a good idea. This way, you can give some thought into what to post and when to post it. If you tend to get ideas and get like spur of the moment inspiration, then consider setting a timer for them, blogging them up, not releasing them until you need to do your next release or the best time is that you've determined will be for that release, because that makes a big difference. And you definitely want to, if you do this and you spend so much time writing your blogs, you definitely want to put them out there where the most people can see them that would be interested in them. It's not like it's a contrived thing. It's just something that like you want to make sure that everybody that you want to see them sees them, and that's very, very important in getting your blog to be something that someone regularly subscribes to. Relationships. Now, we've talked about relationships a lot, and I love relationships because I'm a people person. So it's really fun for me to meet new people and do what I do, interviewing and talking back and forth with all of you guys. You guys are really terrific to me, and I really do appreciate it. So when you're talking about relationships with your blog, let's say you have a .com and you want to attract said number of people and a certain kind of person, maybe a person with your like interests. Like if you're a folk singer and you want to attract people who like folk music, or a rock singer and you want to attract people who like rock music, or a fashion designer and you want to attract other people who love fashion or love to wear fashion, then developing relationships with your audience is by being attentive to your blog comments. You want to not only release content that has to do with the type of people that would want to join your blog, that you want to have something in common with, but you also want to make sure that when they do comment, that you get back to them and get back to them quickly. You always answer your comments, guys, in a timely fashion and try to spark up conversation. Don't just say thanks and then that's it. Definitely find out who the person is and spend a little time like you would a friend, because they are a friend if they're supporting your blog, and find out who they are and what their interests are. Ask them a question, start a conversation, get a discussion going about the topic that they just commented on. I think that's really important. And I personally put out information that I want people to comment on. I want to hear people's opinions that subscribe to my blogs, and I want to have those conversations with them. Otherwise, it's really not worth the time doing it. You could be doing so many other things. But if you enjoy blogging, and you really do want to build your website and have this kind of an audience, then it's very, very important that you spend just as much time talking to your audience as you do blogging to them. Um, I think basically it's all about participation. You know, if you're not active, you definitely, no one else will be. So get the comments rolling. Make sure that you have useful and thoughtful, thought provoking comments on there, and try and reward your commenters for responding. That will definitely keep the crickets away. All right, number 5. This is the last tip. A variety. Variety, of course, variety. Ever seen a website where every post was the same? So boring. You never go back, right? And you definitely don't subscribe. Okay, well, in today's world, we want hybrid websites that offers so much for the reader to come back to. So basically, you're going to build a blog, and that's going to be your website or a page on your website that is going to transform itself every single time you do a new post. So it becomes a playground of fun things to do, fun things to read, fun things to look at, fun things to listen to. I hope you go viral. And if you have any questions, as always, just find the Ask Jax link, and I'm happy to answer them for you. Coming up soon on Next Topic Tuesday, I will be doing some great shows on further helping you share social on your social media pages and how to get those things to be a little more viral for you. We've got some really good uh, posts coming up, and I want to remind you about the shows on Wednesday. That's our game changer day. We're definitely going to have entrepreneurs start coming on. So, in about another week or so, be sure to tune in on Wednesdays, and you can find out all kinds of interesting things as I sit down with entrepreneurs that are leading their industry and inspiring others to accomplish their dreams. These people are going to be game changers, guys, so you're definitely going to want to tune in for Game Changer Wednesday. Now, if you feel that you're a game changer and you're leading in your industry, we want to hear about it. We want to bring you on the show. So I tell you what, we put up a link on the website. It just started today. It's called Game Changers, and that is a form that you fill out so that hopefully you can get on our show for Wednesday.